I think I first realised probably at the end of April in 2024. I was checking my breasts and I could feel a very unusual lump. And also it looked very strange. There was what they call tethering. So when you lift your arm up, normally nothing would happen, but it sort of, you could see that there was something underneath the skin and the skin was tethered to something underneath. I mean, I did. I had actually had a clear mammogram 6 months before. So I think that's why it's really important that, you know, although it's very important to go for your mammogram screening, and I always have done and I always will do, you do have to take responsibility for yourself in between times and check regularly, because quite clearly these things can happen. The mammogram, I mean, it's fine. Some people seem to think that it's a dreadful experience, but it really isn't. I mean, it's a bit odd when you go into a sort of big porta cabin in Tesco's car park. That is a bit odd, and I never really know why they sort of like sticking them in a supermarket car park. But anyway, you go in, they're incredibly efficient. It's always women. It's one of those jobs that men aren't even allowed to apply for, so it will always be women. You go in, you have your boobs squashed between two sort of like glass plates. It doesn't hurt. It honestly doesn't hurt. Well, it's never hurt me. It's slightly undignified, but at the end of the day, believe me, having breast cancer is far more undignified than having a mammogram. So it's absolutely fine, and it's all over and done within a matter of, I don't know, a couple of minutes. Don't be, honestly don't be, because, you know, I appreciate that for the individual person it's only about them, but for the women who are doing the screening, it's what they do day in, day out. It's nothing to worry about, it honestly isn't. And, you know, as I say, breast screening, as we're offered it, it would be so silly not to have it done. And believe me, it's worth it, because if you don't and then you have a breast cancer that's missed, you're going to have to put up with an awful lot more than just going for breast screening. So it's definitely something that's worth doing. It can happen to anybody. So I would encourage any woman to go and have their mammograms, check themselves regularly, find out what's normal for you so that you can be aware of any changes that you might see in your breasts. Be vigilant about it, and don't ever be frightened to go to your doctor because you're frightened that they're going to tell you that it's breast cancer, because if it is breast cancer, not telling them is not going to help the situation at all. Don't put it off, because, as I have said, the screening is nothing compared to what you might face if you don't find out, you know. So you can't, if you have breast cancer, not knowing about it is not going to help at all. You know, it's there for our health, and whilst I understand that perhaps the fear of what they might find is real, the reality is that, you know, if there is something there, you need to know and you need to deal with it. So don't not go just because you're frightened of the screening, because there's really nothing to be frightened of. It's slightly undignified, but that's about the worst that it gets, really.